Hello Wargamers and welcome to another Steel Division Normandy 44 with me, Bubblebox, and today we're going to be doing another deck review overview, this time looking at the 16 Luftwaffe division. Now these came out this was one of the 4 divisions that came into the game with the new DLC, and when I first saw this division I didn't really, just at first glance, wasn't sure about it. It looked really odd. And it looked like it had a really odd balance to it, with the specialist AA pieces, very few, quite poor tank in the tank department. However, since making a couple of decks and playing it in game, it's actually really growing on me. And this deck really, which is made mainly for 10v10s, I'm not sure how effective this particular battle group will be in smaller games, but in 10v10s, if played correctly, this battle group can be very effective. So let's head into the logistics and see what we've got. Sorry, into the recon and see what we've got. In the recon tab in phase A, you've got 2 choices. First of all, you've got the Auflara, and I think this is a new vehicle they come in as well, the UE630 with a little machine gun. If you want something for fire support, that's going to come in with your Auflara, which is just your little 2-man recon squad. And then we've got these guys, the LW Fusiliers. Now these are quite a powerful reconnaissance unit in that they are 9 strength, and one of their weapons is this anti-tank rocket launcher, with a range of 150 meters, so not as good as the Panzerfaust, but still decent for a reconnaissance unit, which can put up a little bit of a battle in its own right as well with the 9-man squad. They come in just in the Opal Blitzes, and I got 2 stacks of 3 of those in my phase A reconnaissance, as well as a set of the LW Auflaras in that UE630 as well. In phase B, you can actually get more of these Fusiliers if you want, and they're really good for bringing out at the beginning of the game, I think. So I haven't got any in phase B, that's why I got 2 stacks in phase A, and I can bring out as many as I want in phase A depending on the map and how I'm kind of feeling I want to play that particular game. They can remain well hidden, they can ambush. I just really like them, but you can get them in phase B as well if you want, and you can get some more of those Auflaras in phase B as well, this time coming in just in the Kubel with the little machine gun. The Fusiliers coming in the Opal Blitz in phase B. And that's it for your recon. Moving on to the infantry. Now all the infantry in this particular battle group, apart from of course the leaders, have the trait whereby they get 25% more suppression damage than regular units. So you need to bear that in mind, but you do get a lot of them, and they're not overly expensive. They're not mega cheap, but they're not overly expensive, and they are pretty decent for holding ground. Not really that brilliant for assaulting, in my opinion, but good for sort of grabbing hold of ground and holding that ground. So in phase A, you can get the usual, well, they're called the Luftwaffe in this particular deck, but the Führers. Also got smoke as well. If as I always forget, you can remember to use the smoke that they have. And then we've got some Jaegers, the ubiquitous Jaegers. Again, these have that Patron, I'm not sure how, false Patron as well. 9-man squads, very similar to the reconnaissance unit, but without the reconnaissance ability, of course. And these all come in the excuse me, I think all the vehicles almost come in, yeah, nothing's got weapons, so no fire support with any of these infantry that we have in this particular deck as far as I can see. Yep, all Opal Blitzes and a few Kubels as well, but no weapons, no fire support. Okay, on the trucks. So you've got the LW Jaegers with the anti-tank weapon. So I've got 2 sets of those, and you get 5 in each stack at 25 points, and I've gone for those as well. Now in phase A also you can get the machine gunners, and I've gone for a stack of these just for a little bit of range. They've only a strength of 3, so they're a bit squishy if they do get within range of another infantry squad or a support vehicle from the opposition. But they are useful for a bit of long range fire across those blockages, or firing out from a town, or even into a town from out of a town at range. So we've got the Jaegers, the LW machine gun 34 in the Kubels, and then we've also in phase A can get Pioneers for a bit of close combat. of course, because they have the well, the explosives on them as well, with 20 HE, 2 of those. The Führers have smoke, don't they? Not the explosives. So yeah, so we can get some explosives with the Pioneers if you want to get into a town, or if you even actually more usefully if you're in a forest. Okay, these really close range weapons like the flamers, flamethrowers, and these explosives and such like, really good for close combat in the forests. Take out infantry stacks so easily. So that's kind of it for phase A. A nice mixture. So you've got your anti-tank weapon, you've got your close combat, and you've got your normal infantry and a bit of long range machine gun fire as well. So a nice mixture of infantry in phase A. And then phase B is as per normal in these battle groups. It's a little bit of more of the same. So you can get more Jaegers, more in a stack as well for the same price in the Opel Blitz. You can get more Pioneers, which is what I put into the deck. So I've got another stack of Jaegers, another stack of Pioneers, and I've also got another stack of the LW machine guns as well. I believe these are different though, aren't they? Yeah, oh, these are the, oh yes, my apologies. Yeah, these are the 13mm, whereas the previous were the 7 points. So this is more of a heavy machine gun. I guess there to balance a little bit out the heavy machine guns of in the American divisions, I guess. Range of 800, but a lot more firepower and a strength of, well, it does say a strength of 5 in the statistics, although this only looks like a two-man squad in the actual picture, so I'm not sure about that. I guess it will be a strength of 5. Okay, so apart from that, I think that's about it. Yeah, Jaegers, Pioneers, and LW machine gun 271 in phase B, and no infantry in phase C, but you can get plenty in phase A and phase B. You don't really need more in phase C. Moving on to the tank tab, this is one of your relatively more weak sections for this particular division. We'll come on to the strength of it very shortly, and it's got two very strong tabs. Of course, if you play this game, you're probably aware of that already. Now, in phase A, you can get these really odd looking Panzer 7030Ms, which cost only 10 points. And basically, it's a mobile machine gun platform, range of 600, HE of 8, and a reasonable fire rate with some armor, and it's enclosed. It's not got an open top, so you can get a whole bunch of them. They're really cheap. I haven't gone for that because I don't really want to be microing these little things around. And the main thing to note with these is they are incredibly slow. 10 kilometers off-road, 15 kilometers on-road. Might be fairly useful in the new closer combat mode, perhaps, where you can get these things up at the front fairly early. But in a game where you're having to run them from your defensive position, from your back line up to your front line, they will take probably a couple of minutes even, or maybe even 3 minutes to get to the front line. I mean, I haven't really used them that much because I don't want to micro them around. So they'll take a while to get to the actual front line. So just bear that in mind as well. They're actually, I believe, a World War II tank. They look a little bit like a turtle. Not overly impressed with their firepower or anything else, although they have got a little bit of armor and might be good for fire support at only 10 points. They are only 10 points, I guess. You can also get the Panzer 730C, which I guess is a bit of an upgrade from the Panzer 730M with a little bit of a different role in that it can fire AP shells, so can take down the opposition's fire support vehicles. Has the same armour and can do a little bit of HE, so I guess you'd use these in combination. And that off-road, on-road speed, exactly the same, 10 and 15 as the other small tank as well. So you can get those two spammy tanks in phase A if you want to. I've not really tried those out, but I have seen players use them, and I have seen some players use them fairly effectively, although for many players they tend to be a little bit oh look, we've got a 16th Luftwaffe on the opposition. Let's kill all of their little tanks in phase A. Yeah. Then we move on to the more substantial Stugs. Of course, the turrets can't move. They have to move the whole chassis, as you're probably well aware already. You can get in phase B, you can get the Stug 3F8. We've seen most of these Stugs before, I believe. A nice phase B tank. or tank buster, or whatever you want to call it, self-propelled gun, I guess I should call it, with an AP, a decent AP for a Phase B weapon of 14, and can also fire HE at a range of 1,000, and it's got a machine gun as well, and okay armor for a Phase B, and I've got 2 of those Stug 3s in Phase B if I need them, although generally I don't tend to bring these out. I tend to bring out my AA weapons, as we'll see very shortly. Also, oh, that's it, you can just get those 2 Stugs in Phase B. In Phase C, you can actually get some command Stugs, which I've gone for both of them. They are also, unusually for this particular deck, apart from the anti-air tab, these guys are vetted as well. So these are going to be useful in Phase C for having as a command tank. The best Stug 3 with the 14 AP, range of 1,000, the usual stuff for a Stug. Also in Phase C, you can get the Stug 3G. Slightly better armor. I think it's the best armored of these Stugs. Yeah, 10 front armor, 4 side, 4 rear. I've got those. Don't use them too often. I tend to again bring out my AA pieces, but they are there if required in Phase C. 3 Stug 3Gs, and you can get another 3 stack if you want yet more Stugs. Then in the support tab, you're limited to 4, although I've only actually used 3. And in A and B, I've just bought, all I've bought is supply vehicles in this particular deck, just to supply my artillery, which we'll have a look at shortly. However, in A, you can get some flamer infantry, again useful for close combat in buildings, kind of, but mostly useful for close combat in forests, and have got that smoke grenade as well that you can use. Then we've got a new vehicle in Phase B, in Phase A, sorry. The dare I pronounce this? I dread to think of the comments, but the UE 630F Sicherungs with the 13 mil. There's a 13 mil again, so it's got quite a powerful machine gun. I haven't put them into this particular deck, but I will try these in a couple of decks, I think, just to see what they're like on the battlefield. Look like it could be a reasonably good support tank, and they're okay for speed. They've got a bit of armor, they are enclosed, and they don't cost too much at 30 points. I would have thought these might have been useful if they could have put these in, and more used if they'd maybe put these in and increased the price by maybe 10 points and put these in as a commander maybe as well. Because this division does lack command, so that one of these as a commander would have been quite nice for maybe a little bit more money in the support tab, and I definitely would have taken that then. So that's kind of it for Phase A. That little truck, some flamers, and supply trucks if you want them. Quite a few supply trucks for a Phase A, not just one. You can get 2 of them. In Phase B, you can get more supply trucks, more flamers that we've already had a look at, and then you can get the Stu 42. I would have preferred to have the Sturt 42 in Phase A because of the 1200 meter range and for sniping units in Phase A, but you can get them in Phase B, and I've got a couple of the Sturt 42s in Phase B to help my infantry if we come up against anything that needs to be taken out long range, or even short range against the infantry with its HE of 15. Can do a lot of damage against soft targets. Then in Phase C, it's just more Opel Blitzes if you want more supply in Phase C, but I've only gone for 3 slots in my support section. Moving on to the anti-tank, as you can see, well, I haven't really gone heavily on my anti-tank at all. You can get Panzerschrecks in Phase A, and these are really good. I do appreciate that, but I'm going to be, if I want infantry anti-tank weapons, I have of course got my Recon. I know not as powerful and not as rangy as the Panzerschrecks, and I have got some anti-tank weapons in Phase A and in Phase B on my infantry, so I just wanted to save that slot really, so I haven't put any Panzerschrecks, but they are definitely a viable alternative and many players I think will probably take those as well. We've also got a new vehicle in Phase A if you fancy this little thing. It just doesn't look too powerful. It's got a good range. It's got a good range for Phase A of 1,000 for a little anti-tank weapon with an AP of 5, and it can shoot at infantry as well. And it's 40 points. I wasn't too sure. I haven't really tried this one out, to be honest. Also in Phase A and Phase B and Phase C, you can get then your pack guns, your anti-tank weapons, your main anti-tank weapons. You can get the 50mm. I'm not going to go over these in details. We've seen these before. You can get the 50mm in Phase A if you want those, and in B you can get the 50mm again, but 3 of them this time. A 75mm, a bit more powerful with 13 AP. All of these, by the way, come in vehicles without weapons as once again, the Luftwaffe. And then you can get in Phase C the 50mm again, but I've gone for vetted 50mm, but I've gone in Phase C for the 75mm, the best one that's available in this deck, with an AP of 13, and the range, which is what I really want from my AT weapons, of 1200 meters. Yeah, although the 50mm, yeah, all the rest are just 1000 meters, aren't they? So I'm not going to go over those in detail. We've seen those before, but I've just got one set of Pack 40 75mm in Phase C. If I want anti-tank weapons earlier on, I'll be using my AA and my infantry with those little anti-tank weapons, and my stugs if necessary. And then comes this tab. Now this is what you really need to base your fight around, in my opinion, with this particular battle group, because it is bristling with flak 36 88mm guns. These are, they say it's in the AA tab, these are multifunctional. You can shoot very effectively against armor and okay against infantry, although you know, you might even want to turn the infantry off so these don't get kind of spotted, although if they're that close they're probably going to get spotted anyway, to be honest, because they are quite large and have very bad stealth. So yeah, a nice all-round weapon. Now the only downside with these things is they all come once again in Opal Blitzes, and so once these things are dropped off, that's it. They're kind of stuck there. They will move, but they will move very slowly. So let's have a look at them first. First of all, you'll see these guys, you can get 2 of these in Phase A, and they are both elite. Very, very dangerous weapon. Really just will stun a plane, and they will kill planes as well. If you need a little bit of luck, or you need a lot of them, or maybe 3 or 4 of them firing at the same time at an aircraft, but they will kill planes. They've got an AP of 15, a range of 1200. Just an immensely strong unit for the money at 130 points. Now you need to be able to use these quite close to the front line if you're playing with the Luftwaffe. And I found out that they are very effective, but the enemy or the opposition, if they have got any nous about them about the game, will immediately start artillerying these pieces as soon as they're spotted. Because they are so slow moving, and they can normally get a couple of shots off before you manage to get them out of range of their artillery. And you are, with this particular battle group, going to be wanting to use these within enemy artillery range as well. And we'll come on to my artillery tab, and I've got plenty of units in there for counter barraging, which is what you kind of have to do to keep their artillery away from your flak 36 88mm, because there's nothing really to combat these in Phase A. And they are very, very useful in Phase B and also in Phase C as well. Because of their elite nature, put a commander with them as well, they'll go even higher. They're just brilliant unit. 2 of those in Phase A can absolutely wreck if you use them correctly. You can get a lot of other AA pieces, and there are some new ones as well in this particular battle group. You can get some Flak Panzer Brens in Phase A, quite fast firing, little 20mm, and a machine gun as well, open top. But I've decided just to go for all 36. I think most people just go for the 88mm actually in 10v10s. Probably in a smaller game you'd want something else to supplement, because the spending 130 points on flak 88 every single time is going to be quite expensive. Get flak fillings. We've seen flak fillings before. Slow moving but a high rate of fire and a range of 800 meters. And you can also get flak 43 37s as well. The 37 a little bit more powerful with an AoE of 11. But mainly definitely go for the flak 36s in Phase A. Maybe you could get a smaller one as well, just so that it can give you that constant fire and constant damage to the aircraft as they fly over. Then in phase B, you can get another 4 of these flak 36 88mm if you want them. So yeah, why the hell not? I've got another 4, all at elite. And then also in phase B, there's this thing, the NAG 4500 drilling 37mm. Oh, not the drilling one, is it? Oh, it's a 37mm with a 37mm gun. So there's that. Just one front armor. Just added a little bit of armor. Well, it's a bit of odd armor they've added to the front. Looks like some wooden blocks and a bit of sheet of metal, a sheet of steel they've added to the front. I'm not sure if that's covering the air intake as well. I'm not sure how that will function, but hey ho. I'm sure that's correct. So that's the NAG 4537mm. But I've gone for the NAG drilling. We can compare the two actually. I've gone for the NAG drilling in phase, where is it? In phase B. 3 of them. Mainly for its fast fire rate. I've got the 36 88mm for, they are quite slow firing. But very powerful. Then I've gone for the drilling, so they're also going to be very useful, these things, for fire support for your infantry as well, if you can get them closer. A bit squishy, they've got no armor, but they have got 18 HE and they do fire very fast. And you get 2 machine, well, you get 2, it says 2, it looks like there's 1. Is that the drilling? Oh, there's the drilling. It's my apologies. There's the picture of the drilling. Yeah, you get 2 of them. Amazing looking weapon stuck on the back of that old looking truck. So I've got a couple of those rather than the 37mm version. And then in phase B you can also get more flak willings, more of the, or flak willing 37mm. Now I've not actually tried these. I'm just going to actually compare them to the flak 37. These look quite good actually, because look at that fire rate. Yeah. They look really nice. I'm actually going to put those in place of a couple of those 88mm because I want to try them. I've not really tried these. I'm just going to swap those over real quick. I've just noticed that I haven't got those in my deck. So we're going to try a couple of those, I think, in the deck. 24 HE looks really juicy. If we compare them to the other main type of gun, the 88mm, it's the fire rate that I'm looking at. 24 HE and a rate of fire of 240. They look quite deadly, actually, with a range of 1000. So yeah, grab myself. I'm almost tempted to grab another set. We'll grab one set for now and we'll see how they play, but I might be tempted to get rid of something from one of the other tabs. Maybe the support tab, get rid of some of those support trucks and maybe get yet. And shall we do that? I think we're going to do that. Let me see how much artillery. Support wise, I'm going to get rid of, I've got 2 Opal Blitzes in A. I'm going to get rid of some Opal Blitzes from there. Let me know what you think about this in the comments if you think I'm making a terrible decision. And we're going to get another set of these elite flak villing 37mm in there as well. In phase C. Just for something with really fast fire rate. So in phase B now we've got the flax villing and we've got the flak 36 88mm. And then in phase C, you can get more of the flak villings, which I'm looking forward to trying out now. And then you can get another 6, if you want them, of the flak 36 88mm as well. And I've got another 3 in my particular deck. So that's it for the anti-air tab. A couple of nice new units. Everything really vetted up or elite. Very, very powerful. And but just watch out for that artillery fire. So you're going to need something to counter the enemy's artillery. And I've just filled my artillery tab full of long-range artillery. And I know just got rid of some of my supply. So in a longer game, I might be in a few problems with supply. But I have got 2 of the Opal Blitzes. The Opal Blitzes do carry quite a lot of supply. So I've gone, first of all, for some mortars in phase A. The LW 88mm, the long range. You can get a shorter range 700. In this deck I don't think the 700 meter range is going to be that useful, so I've gone for something we can counter battery with a little bit as well in phase A. The 1200 meter range, AoE 30, HE of 10, fire smoke, which is very, very useful as well in phase A. Also in phase A you can get some longer range artillery, 2600 meters, and I've really just taken these for their long range. They will fire. They can be used as an anti-tank weapon as well, so they've got dual purpose. They're only 100 points, so they can act as an anti-tank weapon with a range of 1200 meters and as an artillery piece as well. So quite a flexible unit there in Phase A. Everything again just coming in the Opal Blitzes, by the way. And I've got 2 sets of those because they look so, you know, I really want to try these out as these are dual, kind of a bit of a dual purpose weapon. And then you've got 700 meters in Phase B. You could get two sets of the 80mm mortars as well. In Phase B, I've gone for some more of these kind of dual purpose FK288Rs. Exactly the same as we've just mentioned. Notice they're not armoured at all, so they are going to be a little bit squishy if spotted, but again, you can use them for artillery and for anti-tank weapons. Also in B, I've gone for the slightly better SFH 396 with this time with 14 AP power as an anti-tank weapon, but only 1,000 meters, or 23 HE with a range of 2,600, which I would of course use mainly for counter barraging. Yeah, so pretty nice set of artillery in the artillery tab. That's pretty much, I think, all explained. You can get some mortars as well, some of these big heavy mortars as well in Phase B for 110 points if you wanted some more mortars in Phase B. And moving on to the air tab, and the first thing you'll notice is we've got a new unit for this deck, and it's the BEO Storch, 100 points, off-board artillery spotter. These are quite useful in Phase A, and they're not too expensive at 100 points. Remember though, you only get 3 goes. They're useful in Phase A because often in Phase A there's not a lot of enemy aircraft flying around, there's not a lot of AA, so these things tend not to get shot down as readily in Phase A unless the enemy wants to invest quite heavily in maybe a fighter or 2 fighters to shoot this down at the beginning of the game, which they may well do, but then you know that they haven't got that many ground units. Although this is also costing you 100 points, so it's kind of, yeah, a bit of a trade-off there. So that's in Phase A if you want an off-board in Phase A. Also in Phase A, you can get these ME109 G2R1s, and these really are your fighter bombers. They are a light bomber and also a fighter, all melded into one aircraft. They're not the most agile, they've got good agility and okay sort of fighter weapons, but they've got a little bit of a bomb payload as well. Very fast to reload also. I've got those available in Phase A if I want to bring them out. Reasonably expensive though at 190 points, but useful in early 10v10 games for taking out infantry, for taking out anti-tank weapons and infantry support weapons as well. So they're available in Phase A. In Phase B, you can get, I've gone for the HS129B1. We've seen this before. It's an anti-tank weapon, very useful in Phase B. I'll show you another weapon in a minute, which I was kind of thinking of getting, and I'm also tempted at the moment to take it out. But I've got these really for pushing back any armour that the Allies might bring out in Phase B. So that's kind of why I've got these. They're a little bit slow and lumbering. You do need some sort of air superiority or fighter support or a good AA net, which you will have, by the way, with this particular battle group, of course. Now, the other one you can get in Phase B is this guy, the JU-188. Now, this is a very powerful aircraft as well. You can get 2 of them in Phase B, and I think a lot of players will indeed get 2 of them in Phase B. And I'm almost tempted to swap out one of my planes to get one of these. But I want to have a variety of aircraft to use in this deck throughout the game. So I'm not going to swap out at this stage. But these are very powerful at not only killing lighter units or less armoured units, but very good at stunning any unit because they've got huge splash damage, an AoE of 40. They really spread these 28, 50 kilogram bombs around the place. And they are a little bit slow. So again, you're going to need some support to get them out of once they've dropped their payload. So you can get 2 of those if you want in Phase B. That's pretty much it, I think, for Phase. Oh no, we've got one more. We've got the 200 point Focke-Wulf 190A8 BR21, another fighter bomber, this time a rocket plane though. So you can get yourself a rocket plane, an expensive one, which also doubles as a fighter. I've got myself one of those as well. Just so I've got some fighters. And don't be afraid to bring these out as fighters, but don't fly them over the enemy's lines and get them exposed to their kind of more potent, more agile fighters and faster fighters. Keep these kind of around your line, behind your line, so that your air net is protecting them a little bit, and they will manage to keep the have a go at some of the enemy bombers and stuff that are going to be coming over, probably to try to kill your flak. So that's to get those in phase B. Then moving on to phase C, you can get another BEO Storch, slightly more powerful one this time with 140 points as well. I don't find these as useful personally. I have tried it, but in phase C it might be more useful in smaller games, I don't know, but in phase C, in larger games, and especially in 10v10s where the flak and the fighter support tends to get quite large, shall we say, in phase C games, these things are very vulnerable when trying to get close to the enemy lines to drop or to spot for the artillery. So just bear that in mind if you want to bring these out in phase C. However, in phase C, I've gone for a couple of these. No, I haven't. The available is the HS, the more powerful one. This is a much more powerful form of the one we looked at already, with 16 AP. Can take out any of those larger, or try to take out any of those larger allied armor vehicles that they might bring in. But you know, you should be able to have teammates that can probably deal with them if they've got some panzers for you. So there's that. That is available in phase C if you want it. Now I've gone for a couple of the bombers because I've got a little bit of everything in this deck. So in phase C, I've gone for one of each of the bigger bombers. We've got the JU-188. We've had a look at that already. I didn't get it in phase B, but I've got it in phase C. Yeah, it's exactly the same one, isn't it, in phase C? Yes, it is, with the big payload. We've already had a look at it, spoke about it. Very, very powerful unit. Got two of those in phase C. And we've also got the big bomber. This one is actually an elite, and it carries two huge bombs. So rather than having all the bigger, smaller bombs, all the big payload of a lot of smaller bombs, this one's got a big payload of two big 1,000 kilogram bombs, 30 HE, and with a fair amount of splash damage to go along with it. Another very, very powerful aircraft. Very expensive though, 280 points for an aircraft right there. But if used correctly, can be quite devastating, especially if the enemy decides to clump their units up, of course. So that's it for the air tab, and indeed that is it for my battle group overview of the 16 Luftwaffe. Please do let me know what you think about it, whether there's anything you think I've omitted, whether you use those little tanks that you can get, those little cheap tanks that cost 10 and 20 points in the tank tab, and how useful you find they are, whether you think I should put some of those in place of my Stugs, which I did consider doing, and what you think of the 16th Luftwaffe. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.